Welcome to the Limitless Ladies Network podcast, where we are limitless in sharing lessons to advocate and drive insightful, empathetic self care. The Limitless Ladies Network is dedicated to nourishing minds, educating on self care, and facilitating transformative experiences. Our mission is to guide women to age with grace, cultivate good health, and build meaningful connections to bring happiness into their lives. We strive to empower the ladies of the community so they may successfully advocate for themselves and embrace a journey of holistic well being. Please note that the information and opinions shared on this podcast are for educational purposes only and are not intended in any way to be used as medical advice. Please seek a medical professional for any health related matters and always refer to our full disclosure in our show notes. Hello, we are pleased to have our very own Limitless Ladies Network back to talk to us about space clearing today. So we have Mel Maychik, founder.
Maychak, yep.
Maychak. See, I knew I was going to mess that up.
It's all right.
Founder of Honeybee Jasmine Healing, here to share how we can clear our space. As we move into spring, no better time for us to actually think about doing this so we can refresh our homes and our minds and our spirits as we move into this wonderful springtime, if it gets here soon. So, Mel brings a unique blend of lived experience and professional training to create a holistic healing practice that truly meets people where they are on their holistic journey. So, welcome back, Mel.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I am so glad to be talking about this. So apropos with springtime, hopefully right around the corner.
Didn't the groundhog say it was, but I think he lies sometimes.
I think he does kind of give us just a little bit of hope and then takes it away, unfortunately.
Yep.
So tell
He
us,
does.
what does space clearing mean beyond the physical clearing of our spaces and kind of getting rid of all the junk that we might have around, so that we can connect to our mental and spiritual wellness?
Okay. So physical space clearing, yeah, there's clutter. Things build up that kind of like we don't use anymore. Maybe we had an intent to use or something like that. But there might even be somebody who has nothing in their house as far as clutter. Everything has a spot. There's no junk sitting around. And the energy in the air still feels sort of stagnant. And you can kind of, I mean, me, I practice mindfulness meditation, but a lot of people can even just feel a sense of like just nothing, empty, sort of sadness, dreary, even in a space that has stagnant energy sitting in it. So, space clearing is getting rid of all of that negative energy, that sort of stagnation, that sort of anti-motivational stuff, maybe even a little bit of depression, those types of things, those energies that sit in spaces. And they tend to cling on to belongings more. So oftentimes somebody who has a little bit more emotional stuff going on may have more physical items, chaotic items in their space, but it doesn't always mean that getting rid of physical clutter.
Well, that's good to know because I do have some clutter around. It may not look like it, but I do have clutter. And you kind of mentioned a little bit about the energetic ways that they might feel stagnant, and that makes sense, right? You feel like you're kind of stuck, not able to move forward because you just have. And for me, if I have too much stuff, my desk is overwhelmed with something, then I tend to also feel overwhelmed and just feel as though, all right, I can't focus on anything because I have so much. My attention is kind of drawn all over the place, which I'm kind of gathering from what you're saying is the situation, right?
Yeah, so like for me, one example that this comes up a lot with me and my daughter is say she wants to have friends over the house. And I grew up in a house that my grandmother always wanted everything looking pristine and, I always thought it was for the other people. It was for the people that are coming to your home. And what I realized is as I've sort of done my own work on myself and sort of navigating having people in my home and, building a life where I have a social situation because I'm in recovery from, substance use disorder and mental health issues. And um social time is so important, but sometimes it's not even I don't want somebody in the house if the house is messy, not because I care what they think, but it's because I already have to deal with the emotional stress of having somebody there, and that's already overwhelming to me. And then all of a sudden, my space having too much stuff in it, it's like having that and people in my house is just too much. So I might clean my house a little bit extra if somebody's coming, not for them because I care what they think, but it's because I need to clear out that emotional overwhelm, and that shows up for me in my physical space.
That makes sense. You're trying to clear space for yourself
Yes.
mentally so that you can focus on whoever's coming to see you.
Yes. It's almost like emotionally holding space for and giving physical space for at the same time.
That makes sense to me as well. So I like that. What would you recommend as an approach for somebody who is completely not sure what space clearing is? Like, how would you, and they don't know really what the concept is?
Well, I would ask people first, how are they feeling in their homes? Is their home situation when they go home and are they ready to relax, let go, breathe? Is it somewhere that's rejuvenating to you? Is it somewhere that you go and you feel I can go home and I can recharge and it refills my cup and then I can go back into the world sort of refreshed? Or is it somewhere that you're dreading going back to? What does your physical space look like? Is there a lot of clutter in it? If there isn't a lot of clutter in it, what is the emotional um relationships in your home? So maybe there isn't physical clutter at all, but you and your spouse aren't getting along, or you and your child aren't getting along, or you're a parent of 2 kids who are fighting, and you and your husband get along great, but the kids are always arguing, and that sort of might put a negative, energy into the space where you're dreading going back there even if it's not physically cluttered. So it's sort of like needing to get a background of what somebody's emotional and physical situation actually looks like so that I can give the best advice on where to start. If
Mm.
somebody's looking at a physical mess, then I would suggest doing, let's make a plan of what you would like it to look like at the end. And let's break that down into steps. How can we get there? Let's just do a dresser, a closet, under the sink. Let's just clear your fridge out if you've got some old food sitting there and, those types of things. And if all of that's already done and it's just a lot of emotional toxic work that needs to be done, then we can do things like burn sage, do sound healings, a lot of energy work that involves visualization, meditation, and then oftentimes having mediations and having somebody there to sit through those difficult conversations around how can we work together to make our home what it's supposed to be.
I can imagine that there must be people, because I know that you work with people on this whole clearing process, right? That there must be people that are holding on to so much um, emotion, or, they're finding it really difficult to be able to let go of things. Do you find that?
Yeah, and there's a whole grieving process that comes. So grieving, people associate grieving with dying. People associate grieving with like this big hefty, like some traumatic situation has come in and I have to grieve. And that's not necessarily true. Sometimes it's I've had this, skirt that's a size 2 sitting on the closet. I wore it one time to an event and I loved it and I had such a great time, and I emotionally got tied to that experience. It was rejuvenating, it was joyful, so I associate the item with that experience, and now I'm holding on to it because I want to feel it again. I want to wear it again. It was 10 years ago and I've gained 45 pounds, but I'm going to hang on to that because I can't grieve letting it go. So it's sort of like, letting go of lost ideas, getting rid of these like, things that we wanted to do that aren't able to happen, and we have to grieve that experience that hasn't even happened yet. And sometimes that's where people lack in being able to let go of. Sometimes it's also somebody has passed away and they've given them, belongings, or they've had their stuff, or, and they don't want to get rid of it. Or somebody maybe got incarcerated, went to the hospital, and you've got like this other person's stuff sitting in your house and you don't really want to get rid of it, but you also don't want to hold on to it. So you kind of like just leave it sitting there and avoid the situation. And that kind of eventually layers, layers, layers. And you'll feel like you're maybe suffocating after a while when that happens.
Oh, definitely. It is hard, and I feel like it really is a grieving process, especially because you have memories tied to things, you associate them to certain people or places, and it can be tough to let go sometimes. So I can relate to that. Can you walk us through what a simple space clearing ritual looks like?
So what I would do for a space clearing ritual, if it's going to be, if like I said, it all depends on what somebody has going on. If it's physical clutter, I would involve doing a light cleaning, just putting things sort of where they need to go, making the space a little bit less suffocating. We're not going to strive for totally clearing everything out in perfection. We just want to make it so that we can breathe. And we're going to slowly start chipping away at that. And then as we do that, we can visualize making space for positivity coming in, making space for not always positivity, new challenges, new growth opportunities, because sometimes we don't want always positivity. Sometimes we need to learn something that
Mm,
comes from discomfort a lot of the time. Um, so sometimes we're just opening up physically and then visualizing emotionally opening up for that new stuff to come in. And like I said, if somebody doesn't have any of that stuff and they really just have toxic, stagnant energy, I do recommend sage, sound healing, and whenever you do sage or sound healing, open your windows. Make sure you have open windows so that you can allow everything to get out. It's not helpful if you're stirring everything up and it still just doesn't have an escape. So I always open a door or a window when I do sage, and I like to clear it out. I also have I have a besom, which is like a little broom. It's a mini one that I use to just kind of visualize sweeping that negative energy. I sweep it all into a pile towards the door, and I actually go out the door with it. And then another space clearing ritual too. I think I talked about it maybe during the crystals podcast that I did, or another thing that I've shared at, but I talk about taking us a shower and visualizing that negative energy going down the drain at the end. So after our space is clear, we get clean, and then we can actually sit and relax in a clean environment, both physically and mentally.
I like the idea of opening up your windows. It's kind of a little hard to do this past winter, so I would say spring is definitely the right time for us to be able to talk about clearing spaces when hopefully we can open up our windows. But I like the idea of taking a shower after or just sweeping things towards the door, and then you can just open it up quickly and then close it so that nothing comes in.
Yep. That's exactly it. And also springtime, that's why springtime is the best time for. They talk about spring cleaning, but it is. We can open our windows, we have that nice fresh breeze, and it also springtime is where everything is renewing, everything is rebirthing, everything is growing again. Sort of those seeds that we've planted are now sprouting. So it's sort of a physical manifestation of our energy work and things that we're trying to put in spiritually. So I think that it all kind of ties in with just renewal and starting over on a clean slate. And that sort of fits perfectly with being able to open your windows and get that warm temperature in too.
100%.
Yep.
So when you do these, do you typically feel right away that you're feeling a little bit more uplifted?
No, so what I do notice is that it depends. It all there are plenty of times where people have, or even I, clear out just a physical space, and you do notice that right away. The physical, um, when you look at something that's been overwhelming, like you said at the beginning, your desk or something is very overwhelming and you just kind of don't know where to begin. Once that's cleared out, you notice that right away because you're looking at it. You can actually see the difference. It's tangible. Whereas emotional, you can clear out the house, but you might not notice it until or on your drive home from work the next day and you're not feeling that dread of going home. So that might be where it starts to kind of poke up in different ways. It's not where you automatically go, okay, I feel refreshed. Yes, that's the goal, but there are some times where it's energy work is a little bit more difficult. Clearing that out sometimes takes a couple of tries. And also energy work and clearing that out involves boundaries where protecting the space that we've now cleared from, anything negative coming back into it to cloud it back up. If somebody does repetitive clearings but isn't laying boundaries, that's just leaving that open space for anything and everything to come back.
So, how do we go about doing boundaries?
Well, physical boundaries, if it's like somebody's just in your space making a mess, and I'm not going to allow you to do this. And if you're going to continue doing this, like for my daughter, example is she likes to mess up all of the plates and the cups. And I've said, what we're going to do is we've got you this pink set of dishes. This is your set of dishes. You don't touch mine. If you touch mine, you're going to lose this privilege, and you are responsible for washing your own dish. If you want to eat and your dish is dirty, either eat on a dirty one or wash it. It's not, I'm not going to make that my problem. And I'm also not going to allow you to use my stuff when your stuff is dirty. So it's like sort of creating a physical, um, a boundary, and just allowing, knowing that you have to follow through with that. So if she did use my dishes, I do have to end up following through with grounding or
Right.
taking away or whatever I've laid for that consequence. And then for energy boundaries, I visualize like protective bubble. You can put selenite, you can put different crystals, you can do salt on your doorstep, or like on the doorway to just protect anything from coming in. You can do different sort of things like creating a protective barrier, I guess, or like an energetic protective barrier. And that's something again that you have to renew and you have to um maintain. It's not something you just go, okay, I'm protected, and then that's it. It's you have to always clean. So it's like even, you dirty your dishes, you have to rewash them. You shower today, you're gonna have to shower again tomorrow. So,
Right.
it's renewal.
Wow. It sounds like an constant process.
It is, and I think that's sort of where the beauty is in it sometimes, because if we reach a destination, then we're done, right? There's no more learning, there's no more experience, there's no nothing. It's just you're done. And I think sometimes the beauty is in the the journey of getting to. And sometimes we learn different things as we repeat different things, and different things come up for us, and it's always a good opportunity to um create different things, because life is always happening. It's not that life stops. So if we
Right.
always, if we just said, okay, we're protected and life continues to happen, we have to always be maintaining, because different experiences are going to keep coming up.
Always learning and always growing.
Yep, always.
Always. So you mentioned some sage to do for clearing. Are there any other scents that you would recommend?
Anything and everything, I guess, that people like. So, if you're gonna do so, I have Palo Santo and sage. Palo Santo is a wood herb that you would burn. It's not it's a tree. It's a plant that's broken down into pieces of wood that you burn. And then sage is little bundles that are made from sage leaves that are tied up, and you create like a burning smudge stick with it. You can buy them, you can grow your own herbs and make them. You can't really probably grow Palo Santo. It's a little bit harder to grow around here, but you can definitely grow your own sage. And then just like essential oils, you can use lavender for relaxing. You can use sort of citrus stuff for uplifting or rejuvenating. Lemon and grapefruit are good for antibacterial stuff as well. Um, I like to use mint in my bathroom and eucalyptus in my shower. I have little eucalyptus shower steamers that I put in for when I take a shower. So that kind of helps rejuvenate my space. And then also, if you're not somebody who can do any scents or things like that, you can do herbs like just laying out sage right by your door, even just for protection, or you can do things like that. You don't have to actually burn them to be able to use their properties.
I use Palo Santo every once in a while, and I also have had eucalyptus, like fresh eucalyptus at the farmer's market, and hang that from my shower, and it smells so good until it
Mhm.
gets dried out, and then I'm like, oh, I have to throw it away. I'm so disappointed.
You could crush it, and once it's dried out, you can crush it, and you can make a dried incense out of it. So you can get charcoal discs, and put them on a heat-safe plate, heat sa in an ashtray even, and you get it lit, get it red, and you can sprinkle the dried eucalyptus or whatever herbs you want on top of it as well too. So
Nice. I
you don't
just
have to
worry
throw it
that it
out.
was in my shower, so it might have been a little moldy, and I was like,
No, no way. It'll be okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Your shower's not moldy. Why would the plant be moldy?
I don't know. Gets a little funky in there sometimes.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, showers are damp, but it'll be okay.
Yeah. I do like eucalyptus though. It's nice. It's a good like spa type scent in your bathroom. I don't know. It's invigorating.
Yep, and it opens up your pores, it opens up your nasal passages, it lets air flow better, it's really good, and even while it's growing, it does a lot of purifying the air too, like if you have a live eucalyptus plant.
I would love to have a live eucalyptus plant.
Mhm.
Something tells me it's probably difficult to grow that though.
It is, it's very tropical, it needs a lot of, moisture, but yeah.
Yeah. So probably not. Not until I move to the Caribbean.
Goals.
Are there specific places that we should look at in our homes that tend to gather more negative energy that we need to release?
Okay, so the places that I suggest to look at the most, bedroom is for sure the oftentimes number 1, uh I guess, killer of a good clean house. It's one of those ones that really it holds a lot of negative energy. It You hold your clothing in there, you've got your stuff in there, you've got your makeup, your things for getting ready a lot of the time. People have their belongings, their knickknacks, maybe their books. Then you've got your bed. So it's like a lot of people have multiple pieces of their life in their bedroom. It's not where the bathroom you simply just do, your business and take a shower, or the kitchen you do food stuff. It's sort of the bedroom is a catch-all of a lot of different things. The bedroom also is the most important because you spend most of your time in the bedroom sleeping. You know a lot about your sleep work and things like that. The bedroom having, clutter in it and having a TV and having dust and having a lamp on and all these different things affects the sleep, and that therefore affects the rest of the life. That is a and the kitchen, I think, too, is the second one that I focus on simply because all of my food is going into my body. And so I don't want to have negative space and clutter and physical clutter and emotional clutter in my kitchen. I don't want to have things that are stagnant sitting around unused. I want to be able to have the food going into my body and my family's body be, you know, as nourishing as it can be, both physically and spiritually. So I think those two places. And then the last thing that I would also focus on is if you have like a foyer, if you have a doorway, those types of things to protect from any negative energies coming in, making sure that that's where you lay your boundary. So those are my top 3 for focusing on, like, for everyday living, and then just making sure that, like we talk about spring cleaning, making sure that we do a regular yearly maintenance of your attic, your basement, those places that may have a lot of lost hopes and dreams sitting down there.
Yeah, and I agree with the bedroom. So I am all about creating a sleep sanctuary, and our bodies and our minds are really detoxing at that time. So we are physically and mentally really clearing out a lot of waste. We're consolidating our memories. We're really doing a lot through our lymphatic system. So that seems like the perfect place to start because what we're releasing, where's it going, right? It's going to be going into the air, it's going to be going into the ether, so it's there. It's good to
Yep, and then we
clear.
also do a lot of sweating when we're sleeping, so people who say, "Oh, I don't really change my sheets that often, they're not that dirty." Yeah, they might not look dirty, but your body is releasing a lot of fluids into the sheets at night when you sleep without even realizing it, so having that sitting there also is it's a physical and emotional energy just sitting there in your bed sheets, and just like it affects sleep so much.
Yeah, it really does. What do you say about maintaining positive energy? So we talk about clearing it out, get rid of the negative and kind of bringing in the positive energy. Once we've cleared it, like how can we we're all moving through our busy seasons and things that we're doing. Like, how do you recommend that we maintain that positive energy?
I think remaining grateful. I think having a sense of gratitude and constantly being for me when I at the end of the day I am noticing that things that I was grateful for throughout the day, it almost creates that mindset where now the next day I'm looking for things to be grateful for. And to me, like we talk about positivity, but I'm somebody who I believe wholeheartedly in that toxic positivity where everything can be, too much. You don't always have to be positive. It's about even having a quote unquote negative experience or something that we've labeled as a negative experience. I like to call them a learning opportunity or a growth opportunity. Um, being grateful for those things, being grateful for things that kind of stir us up emotionally too, because they are opportunities to figure out where we're at and where we need to be going. And so, I think the biggest thing that I do is I just remain grateful and I know, you know, I have a physical space to clean. I have an emotional bubble to clear out. Like how cool is that that I have this cool thing that I need to maintain. So instead of looking at it like, oh, it's a chore, it's being grateful that I have the opportunity to do this work and then have the opportunity to therefore be at my best self so I can help other people be at their best self.
That is great advice. Changing our mindset so it's not a negative thing and bringing it into a positive and gratitude will get us a long way. I do a lot of journaling and that really helps me to reset my mindset. And even if it wasn't a great day, I just try to think about all the tiny little things and reframe it towards the end of the day, like you said, that it was a learning experience and hey, I got to do X, Y, and Z today, even though it was a really challenging thing that I had to go through. So
Yeah.
um, I love that idea.
And any of the things that I ever give for advice, it's like I also do these things. I'm not 100%. I have clutter. I have things going on. I have emotional baggage. I'm somebody who is a person in recovery. It doesn't mean I'm recovered or I'm fixed or that I have it all figured out. It's like I was just talking to you before we actually started doing this about, my struggles and how I'm getting through it, but it also means that yes, adversity comes up. Life is life. Life has challenges. And it's just like if I don't have anything positive to look forward to, I call a friend or I get in touch with somebody else and they can remind me, that it's okay and we're all human and we're all doing the best we can. So if I give somebody advice, and I say, oh, all this clearing out emotional baggage, like I'm also practicing and working on it. We're all learning this stuff and nobody's perfect. Nobody's got this down pat or figured out. So,
Yes, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing
oh, you're welcome.
what you're sharing because it is important that people realize that we are human and we're not all perfect and we make mistakes. And although we are giving advice, it doesn't mean that we are perfect at what we're doing either. It is a constant, um, it's a constant learning. It's a constant evolution and self-development, right? So we all learn from each other and lean on each other as well.
Yep.
So this was great, Mel. Thank you very much for going over how we can do some space clearing this spring as it's right on the cusp. So as soon as we get there, we'll be ready. We'll have all the info that we need from what you provided to us. So this is
The
great.
equinox happened, so, I mean, the earth has already said it's spring. I don't know what's going on with the weather patterns, it needs to catch up, but the ground knows it's spring. I've seen some crocuses a little bit coming up. I had some purple ones in my yard. I looked out earlier, I said, "Oh, here come some signs." So, just
Yeah,
keep your eyes open and look for the signs of spring, and the more you look for them, the more you'll find.
absolutely. I'm loving that I'm starting to see some of my plants come back to life, It's like, oh, they're emerging, growth is happening. It's a rebirth.
Yep, it's so beautiful.
It is. So tell us, Mel, where can our audience find you?
You can find me on my website, honeybeejasminehealing.com. You can email me at honeybeejasminehealing@gmail.com. And through those places, you can find, well, through the website, you can find my social media, my phone number, all of the things are on there. So,
Excellent. And you can also find Mel on our Limitless Ladies Network directory. She is one of our members. So please be sure to like this podcast. Hopefully, you enjoyed this episode on spring cleaning. I know I did. And follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, as I said, with our podcast. And be sure to leave us a comment and tell us how we did. And follow us on socials. And hope to see you at some of our upcoming events. So check out our website for our events and activities that we have coming on as well.